ERIN Valenti, a 33-year-old CEO of a tech company known as Tinker Ventures, was described as highly accomplished. She founded Tinker Ventures, a website and smartphone app developer. ERIN was responsible for a global team of around 120 employees. She had previously worked as the director of product development for Overstock.com, where she supervised 260 engineers. Many described her as intelligent, compassionate, and having a great sense of humor. ERIN was originally from Fairport, New York, and resided in Salt Lake City, Utah, with her husband. In late September of 2019, ERIN and her family's lives took a dark turn. The CEO embarked on a business trip to a 3-day workshop in Silicon Valley. It was here that she would explore new technologies. ERIN's last Facebook post, dated September 25th, read, "Heading to San Francisco and Los Angeles soon. Who's around? DM me." She was expected to return to Utah on October 7th. That afternoon, she met up with a former colleague on Sand Hill Road. The former colleague later reported that nothing seemed out of the ordinary during their meeting. But soon after, things took a bizarre and troubling turn. After leaving her friend and heading to the airport, ERIN made several strange phone calls to her family. Her behavior was frantic, erratic, and completely out of character. At around 3:30 p.m., she called her parents, saying she couldn't find her rental car. Eventually, she located the grey Nissan Murano and stayed on the phone with her mother and father. But just as they began to think the situation might be under control, ERIN said something deeply unsettling. She told them, "It's all a game. It's a thought experiment. We're in the Matrix." This cryptic statement would be the last thing her parents heard from her. ERIN never boarded her flight that evening and failed to attend a ceremony scheduled for the following day. Deeply concerned, her husband and parents filed a missing person report. They provided police with the car's make, model, and license plate, as well as details of her unusual behavior. However, the San Jose Police Department delayed filing the report until October 10th, stating ERIN was voluntarily missing. Tragically, 5 days later, the search for ERIN came to an end. She was found in the back seat of her rental car. The vehicle was parked on a quiet residential street in the Almaden neighborhood of San Jose, just half a mile from her last known location. ERIN had passed away. Authorities found no signs of physical harm, and the cause of death was initially undetermined. An autopsy performed by the San Jose Medical Examiner's Office later revealed that ERIN had died of natural causes during an acute manic episode. However, this conclusion raised more questions than answers. What triggered the manic episode? How did it lead to her untimely death? ERIN Valenti's case remains a haunting mystery. Her sudden passing left her loved ones and the community searching for answers about the strange and tragic events that unfolded. The disappearance of 43-year-old Anna Maciejewska from Malvern, Pennsylvania was, at first, thought to be a routine missing person investigation. But a year after she vanished, it was upgraded to a homicide investigation when some disturbing information came to light. Anna originally hails from Poland, and a few weeks before she vanished, she'd been planning to go back there for a visit since her father's 80th birthday was coming up. She'd been in steady contact with her family while working as an actuary in the US. She had a 4-year-old son, and according to her co-workers, was diligent in her duties and got along well with everyone. She immigrated to the United States in 1997, after which she started studying at the University of Louisville in Kentucky. She had already attained 2 bachelor's degrees from Warsaw University, but furthered her education in the US as she wanted to obtain a master's degree in mathematics. She soon found a job with Voya Financial, known then as ING. Following this, her relationship with her boyfriend, who'd come to the US with her, ended. On one occasion, she decided to go on a ski trip, where she would meet Alan Gould, the man who she would eventually marry. Their relationship was doing well until 2016, when she unfortunately had a miscarriage, an event that understandably had an adverse effect on her mental state. The couple's relationship started to deteriorate, with Anna feeling that Alan wasn't being supportive. He was spending a lot of time looking after their son, for whom Anna was trying to get a Polish passport so that he could get to know her parents when they visited them in their home country. This caused further trouble in the relationship since Alan didn't want their son to become a dual citizen. After a while, she resorted to attending support groups where she could speak openly about her problems and the issues in her marriage. This is something that her friends and family would only be made aware of later on. On the 28th of March, 2017, Anna had a conversation with her mother on the phone, in which she stated that she wanted to fly home to surprise her father for his birthday, along with Alan and their son. She seemed very excited about the trip and stated that she would let her mother know all the details once they had been arranged. But strangely, on the 29th of March, she sent a text message to her mother that simply read, "Sorry, I can't come. Kisses, Anna." The message was sent in Polish. Then, on the 30th, Anna's father received a text from her number wishing him a happy birthday. But the message seemed suspicious since it was written in badly worded Polish, a mistake that Anna would never have made since she was fluent in her native tongue. Her parents immediately started suspecting that the message was typed by someone pretending to be Anna, and they immediately tried to call her, but got no answer. Over the next few days, they tried in vain to contact her, and they started to worry that something had happened to her. They managed to contact Alan, who then told them that Anna wasn't feeling well, but he promised to have her call them when she was feeling better. Anna's manager told investigators that he received a text message from her on the 3rd of April, in which she informed him that she would not be coming to work that week. But this message also raised suspicion, since he and Anna's co-workers knew she would have called under normal circumstances, rather than send a text. The week passed by, and she was expected to be back at work on the 10th of April, but didn't show. Alan then claimed that she recovered and was ready to go back to work, but that she had run out of their house that morning in a state of panic. He assumed that she was late for work, but was then told that she never arrived for her shift. Anna's manager started to suspect something was wrong and contacted the police, who traveled to the couple's house to perform a welfare check. But no one was home. When she didn't arrive for work again the next day, her manager, not Alan, reported her as missing. Alan did open a missing person case the next day after calling Anna's parents and telling them that she had gone to work the previous morning and never come home. When asked why he waited so long, he stated that he was waiting to see if she came back. When the house was searched, Anna's phone, passport, and wallet were found, something that her friends found very strange, since she usually had these items with her. A Facebook page was created to raise awareness about her disappearance. When Alan found out about this, he became upset and stated that he wanted nothing to do with the social media campaigns, adding even more suspicion. Unfortunately, the page didn't result in any leads. On the 8th of May, Anna's car, a 2011 Audi A4, was found abandoned in the most unlikely of areas. The parking lot of a hiking trail in a private community called Charlestown Meadows Development. The car had been backed into the parking space, something Anna's friends stated she would never do. The car and the surrounding areas were searched, but nothing was found. The trail was then also searched, but with the same result. Despite the assistance of volunteers from the community, Alan aided in the search, but then stopped cooperating with the police. Investigators learned that Anna had a second house that she and Alan used for storage. In 2019, a search warrant was issued for it to be searched. It wasn't revealed what was found in the house, but as soon as the search was completed, investigators revealed that the case had been upgraded to a homicide investigation and that Alan was a person of interest. Investigators revealed that they had proof that Alan was being less than truthful about what he knew, since he had information that could progress the case, but refused to cooperate. He also refused to speak to any of her friends, colleagues, or reporters, and has not given a reason as to why. Anna's disappearance has had an adverse effect on her parents' health, but they remain hopeful that she is still alive and will eventually be found. a $30,000 reward is being offered to anyone who comes forward with information leading to Anna's case being solved. Anna is described as having brown shoulder-length hair and hazel eyes, standing 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighing 160 pounds. Unfortunately, it isn't known what she was wearing at the time that she went missing, but is known to wear an engagement ring and a wedding band. If you or anyone you know has information on this case, you're asked to contact the Pennsylvania State Police at 610-486-6280. Anna's case number is MP 38570. The disappearance of 40-year-old Amber Manthorne took place on the 7th of July, 2022, and, at first, investigators were baffled and asked for the public's assistance in the case. But it's since come to light that someone close to her may have been responsible. Amber hails from Port Alberni, Vancouver Island, one of the country's largest islands. Her older sister Shannon describes her as a fun-loving and spirited person who keeps everyone on their toes. When she was a child, she added that Amber was someone who worked hard, made sure to look after herself, and had a lot to look forward to in her life. She decided to possibly get married and have children one day, something that did not appeal to her in the past. She was well known and liked in her community, and her family states that people still come up to them on the streets often to ask if there have been any developments in her case, despite it being more than 2 years old. It's unclear who reported Amber missing, but sources state that this was done on the 8th of July, 2022, after she'd not been seen or heard from for more than 24 hours. That's when the Royal Canadian Mounted Police appealed to the public to be on the lookout for her while they started their investigation. The following day, her family became even more concerned for her well-being when her car, a white 2021 Jeep Compass, was found abandoned just south of Nanaimo, and the case was handed over to the Vancouver Island Integrated Major Crime Unit. Following this, Amber's family, friends and volunteers from the community started a search in the backcountry areas between Port Alberni and Nanaimo, where her Jeep was found. The search lasted for weeks, but no further clues were found. During interviews with those close to her, it was revealed that she was likely in the company of her boyfriend, Justin Hall, and that he was likely the last one to see her before she vanished. But when investigators spoke to him, he stated that he hadn't seen her that day and that he had no idea what may have happened to her. Unfortunately, Justin passed away shortly before the first anniversary of Amber's disappearance, though it's not been revealed how he lost his life. This means that any information he may have had on the case is now forever lost. Investigators have since asked that anyone who was close to Justin and who may have information on the case come forward, since he's now considered to be the #1 suspect in her disappearance thanks to further leads that were uncovered during the investigation. This includes some very suspicious activity that was captured by CCTV security cameras. The footage was obtained from a Husky gas station on 3rd Avenue and has since been released to the public in case they have more information on what is seen in the video. It shows Amber's Jeep arriving at the gas station, but when the driver steps out, it's Justin, not Amber. He's then seen opening the driver's side back door and removing a large blue suitcase from the back seat. He takes it to the back of the car, opens the trunk, and attempts to put it in the trunk. But as is seen in the footage, he's unable to fit it due to a large plastic tote that's already in the trunk, and after many unsuccessful attempts, he's forced to return the suitcase to the back seat. Neither the plastic tote nor the suitcase have ever been found, and it's unclear whether they'll shed light on anything in the case. But investigators feel strongly that they will. They believe there is foul play involved, and that Justin knew what had happened to her. They've since released a timeline in the case, starting on the 7th of July, when Amber was captured on security footage at 3:27 p.m. inside of a BYOW Foods in Port Alberni. She made a few purchases at the store and was then seen leaving in her car. Her Jeep was seen again driving west on Pacific Rim Highway at 3:35 p.m., and shortly after, she arrived at her house, and she was never seen again. The next day, at 12:22 a.m., Justin made a call to United Cabs, where he ordered a taxi. The cab was seen heading in a westerly direction. Keep in mind that this was just after midnight. About 4 hours later, at 4:17 a.m., Amber's car is seen driving on the Pacific Rim Highway, headed in the direction of Port Alberni. Following this, he traveled to the gas station, where he was seen trying to rearrange the luggage that he had in the vehicle. The Jeep is then seen once again at a McDonald's restaurant on Johnston Road, where Justin buys some food at 7:02 a.m. An hour later, Amber's colleagues realized that she didn't show up for work, and at 9:22 a.m., Justin was seen buying items at a Walmart in Nanaimo. This was about 4.5 hours after he was captured by cameras at the gas station. His suspicious behavior continued after this, as he was planning on traveling to the mainland in Amber's Jeep without informing anyone. It's known that he purchased a ferry ticket at the Duke Point terminal, after which he fell in behind the other cars that were waiting to be loaded. But then, he seemingly had second thoughts, as he could be seen leaving the queue just after 11 a.m., never getting on the ferry and driving away. The next day, investigators were informed that the Jeep had been found, but that Amber was nowhere to be seen. Searches were conducted in the areas surrounding the car, but nothing further was found. Investigators stated that they believed Amber owned a phone case that held several bank and credit cards, and had asked the public to be on the lookout for it since it was never found. Justin's cell phone was also never recovered. Strangely, Amber's phone pinged off several towers in the Alberni Valley area for days after she disappeared, and it may be a vital clue in the case. The authorities have since revealed that they believe Amber is no longer alive, and that she likely met with foul play, possibly at the hands of her boyfriend. But since he can't be interviewed, this remains speculation. Investigators have asked that anyone with information on the case contact the Port Alberni RCMP at 250-723-2424, quoting police file number 2022-6674. Alternatively, you can contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. CIEHA Taylor was born on the 16th of November 1991 to Kenneth Taylor. In the early months of 2020, CIEHA's life began to take a turn. It was a favorable turn initially. She was overcoming addiction issues and turning her life around. During this time, she started working at a call center and was living with her on-again, off-again boyfriend. Occasionally, she stayed with a friend in nearby Lakeland in her car, or with another man in Plant City, Florida. In early February of that year, her good streak came to an end. CIEHA dropped her boyfriend off on Cowart Road in Plant City and left around 4 p.m. that afternoon. She mentioned she would be meeting up with a friend in Lakeland. By 7 p.m., however, a local police officer discovered something that sparked concern in the community. On the 900 block of East Trapnell Road, west of Tucker Road in Plant City, the officer found a black 2000 Toyota Celica. It was CIEHA's car. The vehicle's faded paint only added to the eeriness of the scene. The engine was still running, the driver's door was ajar, and the car sat across railroad tracks that were no longer in use. The tracks were just 1 mile away from her boyfriend's residence. The officer moved the car off the tracks, but failed to run the plates or notify the owner. There was no one at the scene. CIEHA was nowhere to be found, and she has not been heard from since. A few days later, her family filed a missing person report with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office after learning her car had been found and was still sitting where the officer had parked it. The investigation soon began. Authorities suggested the vehicle had been left on the tracks sometime after she dropped off her boyfriend. When evaluating the scene, they found CIEHA's car keys and wallet, which contained her debit card and license. Her cell phone was discovered on the ground outside the car. Police turned their attention to CIEHA's boyfriend, one of the last people to see her, along with his friend and the friend's father. Extensive searches were conducted for weeks. The area around the railroad tracks was thoroughly combed. but no sign of CIEHA was found. Then, on the 26th of February, a haunting discovery was made. Near the area where CIEHA's car had been abandoned, her shoes were found resting on a drainage pipe. Nearby, a light pole displayed CIEHA's missing person poster, eerily flapping in the wind. Investigators believe her shoes had been placed there shortly after her disappearance. To this day, no evidence or motive for foul play has been found, and the case remains active and ongoing. A $10,000 reward is being offered for any information leading to CIEHA's whereabouts. CIEHA Taylor is described as 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighing around 170 pounds. She has brown or red hair and brown eyes. She also has several tattoos, including an infinity symbol on her chest, a ladybug on her left leg, a rose on her inner forearm, a sun on her right thigh, and 2 X's on her shoulder. At the time of her disappearance, she was last seen wearing a grey, blue, white, and red striped mini dress, tan knee-high boots, and a pink sweater. If you have any information about this case, please contact the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office at 813-247-8200. Pepita, Madalyn Redhair's story, begins in the heart of New Mexico. She was born on August 4, 1992, and became part of the Native American Navajo tribe. She grew up in a small town known as Crown Point, located in the Navajo Nation in McKinley County, New Mexico. In 2020, the 27-year-old was working at Hot Topic, the pop culture and music apparel store in Albuquerque. Pepita was also attending the University of New Mexico and had dreams of one day becoming an engineer or a teacher. She was known to split her time between living with her mother, Anita King, in Crown Point, and living with her boyfriend, Nicholas K., in Albuquerque. On March 24, 2020, Anita dropped her daughter off at the 1000 block of Clement Street Southwest at Nicholas's house. 3 days later, she tried to make contact with Pepita, but her calls and text messages went unanswered. Over the next couple of days, she continued her efforts to establish contact with her daughter, but to no avail. Pepita was never seen or heard from again. On March 28th, a missing person report was filed with the Albuquerque Police Department. Just 2 days later, Anita received a text back, but it wasn't from her daughter. The message came from a man claiming that someone had sold him Pepita's phone. Authorities were slow to react, failing to classify the case as a disappearance. They claimed she was an adult, free to travel or vanish on her own accord. The investigation into her disappearance was further delayed during the pandemic restrictions, which stopped police from conducting in-person interviews with witnesses. On April 19, 2020, Nicholas ended up filing his own missing person report with the police. According to him, the two had gone out on the evening of March 26th, where they met another man. Later that same evening, the couple had an argument, which resulted in Pepita leaving the residence on foot. Nicholas would later reveal that he received a message from Pepita's phone on March 27th. The message explained that she was with another man, possibly the same man they had met the previous night. After this, he never heard from her again. Nicholas maintains his innocence in the disappearance. However, friends and relatives believe that he may be the one behind it, as claims of domestic violence marred their relationship. According to one article, Pepita may have been seen on 2nd Street and the freeway in May, panhandling, but this sighting remains unconfirmed. Authorities have found no evidence or motive for foul play in the case, leaving it active and ongoing. Pepita has been described as a Native American or Alaskan native. She has brown hair and brown eyes. At the time of her disappearance, she was 5 feet 1 inch tall and weighed around 140 pounds. Anyone with information about this missing person case can contact the Albuquerque Police Department at 505-768-2020. In November 2009, 21-year-old Christina Whittaker from Hannibal, Missouri, was excited as she was planning on having a night out with a group of her friends. It had been a long time since she had done so, since she had recently given birth and hadn't had time for anything besides taking care of her new baby. Christina had arranged for her boyfriend, Travis Blackwell, to take care of her daughter at her mother's house. He was happy to help, since Christina's mother, Cindy, was out of town, and he knew that Christina needed some time away. He then gave Christina a ride to Rookie Sports Bar, where she met up with her friends for a well-deserved night of relaxation. Travis would later tell investigators that he dropped her off between 8:30 and 8:45 p.m. The night wouldn't go to plan though, as Christina has never been seen or heard from again. When Travis woke up the next morning, he realized that Christina wasn't in the house, and he started to panic, since she wouldn't just stay away without informing him. He then called Cindy and told her that he was unable to get a hold of Christina. Cindy immediately started traveling back home, and Travis arranged for a family member to look after Christina's daughter, since he had to report for a shift at work that same morning. Christina's cell phone was found outside of an apartment complex near the sports bar by a member of the public, and it was handed to the police. But when it was searched, nothing of importance was found. During the investigation into Christina's disappearance, Travis stated that he'd received a phone call from her at around 10:30, during which she offered to bring home some food when she returned. She added that she was planning on being home at around midnight and that she would contact him if she couldn't find a ride. But this is where things get a little murky. Some people who were present in the bar that night stated that Christina was asked to leave just before midnight, as she'd become intoxicated and got into an argument with another patron. When she was kicked out, her friends decided to stay at the bar, with one of them stating that they didn't want to go to jail because of her. The bartender, a woman who knew Christina, stated that she saw her arguing with someone over the phone and that she was crying uncontrollably before being taken out of the bar via the back door. But a bouncer at the establishment stated that he saw her again enter the bar a short while later in the company of an unknown man. Several other witnesses describe seeing her leave with 4 men, while one of her friends claims that she was seen outside the bar, sitting in a car with 2 of them. Christina was reported as missing by her mother on Sunday the 15th of November. But investigators didn't think it was an urgent matter since they thought she just needed some time to herself. But when she remained missing a few days later, they reassessed the situation and an investigation was launched. There was no sign of Christina anywhere, but soon speculation began to run rife as to what could have happened to her. Some people believe that Travis had something to do with her disappearance, but Christina's mother strongly disagrees, since he didn't have any motive to harm her. It has been suggested that the relationship between Christina and Travis was an abusive one. Both Travis and the father of Christina's baby, a man named Justin Johnston, were asked to take polygraph tests, which Johnston passed, but Travis failed. This gave rise to further theories that he was involved somehow, but this has never been proven. 2 weeks after Christina disappeared, someone contacted the police to report that she'd been kidnapped by a group of men who were involved in human trafficking, and that they had relocated her to Peoria, Illinois. This theory was further bolstered by a report from a store clerk in Peoria who stated that she saw Christina a short while after the investigation started. A waitress from the same area also reported seeing her, and she was convinced that it was indeed Christina that she saw. Then came the most worrying of all the sightings. A woman contacted the police to state that she and Christina had been in the same mental health hospital in Peoria, and that Christina confided in her that she was being trafficked. There's also the possibility that the medication that Christina was taking mixed badly with the alcohol that she was drinking that night, and that she accidentally fell into the Mississippi River. Given the cold conditions of that evening, she may have suffered from hypothermia and passed away. But this is mere speculation, as no sign of this was ever found. Christina's family believes that she is still alive somewhere, and they hold out hope that she will be tracked down in the future. If you have any information on what happened to her that night, or her current whereabouts, you're asked to contact the Hannibal Police Department at 573-221-0987. A $10,000 reward is offered to anyone who supplies investigators with information leading to Christina's whereabouts. Though her case has now gone cold, it remains open, and investigators continue to look for clues that may reveal what happened that night.